Welcome to the Florida Divorce Podcast, your source for the information you need to successfully get through your divorce and into the next exciting chapter of life. Now, here's your host, Attorney Scott Kalish.
Hey everybody, my name is Scott Kalish. I am an attorney here in South Florida. I practice mainly family law and divorce almost exclusively. Today I want to talk to you about selling the marital home during the case and whether or not that's something that is going to happen in your case, right? So let's jump right into it, right? So the short answer is yes. A judge can order the marital residence, the marital home sold, right? Let's just assume for this podcast that the home that you live in is 100% marital property, right? What I mean by that is there's two types of property in Florida, in the context of a divorce, separate non-marital property and marital property, right? So and I can do probably an hour long, 2 hours long episode on what's considered marital property and going through all of the examples, and then also going through what's non-marital property and going through all of the examples. Definitely don't want to do that right now. Just want to keep this short and concise so you guys get the information that hopefully you need. So let's assume just for this podcast episode that your home, the home that you live in, is marital, right? 100% marital. So it can be divided during the divorce case. The short answer, right, to the question is that yes, a judge can order the marital residence sold. How that happens is basically like this, right? So, when you go and start your divorce, when your attorney is drafting what's called the petition for dissolution of marriage, you're going to want to tell them that you also want to, if this is your case, you want to tell them that, hey, listen, I want to sell, I want my house sold. My spouse might have a different feeling on that, but I want to make sure my house is sold as part of the case because I want to, split, sell the house, divide the proceeds after the sale, and start my new life with half of the equity that we have in there, or more, depending upon how the case all shakes out. But the long and the short of it is that you want it sold, right? So can that happen? Absolutely. So again, when your attorney is putting together your petition, they're going to ask the judge to dissolve your marriage, right? To have a dissolution of marriage. But then they're also going to throw into the petition, or they should throw in the petition, something called a partition action, right? And that's basically a fancy legal term for, we want the house sold by the judge. The judge is going to forcibly, sell the house if the other person, the other owner, your spouse, is objecting to it. Now, in a partition action, the judge has the power to, again, order the house to be sold. The judge has the power to select a realtor, right? If the spouses cannot agree on the realtor, they can select the realtor if there's disagreement. And then also, the judge can select the sale price of the home, right? So sometimes, for whatever reason, people disagree as to what the sale price is. Maybe it's because, one person wants to show the other spouse that, hey, maybe they want to delay the process, right? They want to live there as long as possible. And one of their delay tactics is to price the house well over market price, where no one's going to make an offer, no one's going to even take a look at the house, right? So that's a possibility, right? So to combat that, a judge will select the price. And typically, what you'll want to do is make sure to get the property appraised and have the appraiser testify, right, and tell the judge what the price should be and why they believe it is the market price, right? So what the value is, right? So that's probably the best way to do it. I'm sure judges would also accept the testimony of a realtor if they are qualified to give that opinion, right? I'm sure the other attorney that is fighting your attorney is going to try and discredit the realtor. But, if the judge feels that the realtor has sufficient knowledge and that making their estimate based on credible determinations, right, that the judge might also listen to what the realtor has to say. But best practice is definitely to get an appraisal if that's the situation that you find yourself in, and if you and your spouse cannot agree on the listing price. But yeah, and then at that point, the house will be sold and the proceeds will be split accordingly based on what the judge feels is equitable, right? Most of the time, in most cases, 50-50 is what is equitable. But there are different exceptions to that rule. But yeah, so that's just a little bit of a summary of what can happen, right, in a divorce when there is a house involved and it's marital and there are disagreements over whether or not, one spouse wants to keep it versus the other spouse. Now, a judge will consider, if one spouse wants to keep the house, they'll consider that and whether or not the person wanting to keep it can afford to buy the other person out, right? So if there's equity in the home and the judge feels that it's a 50-50 split of the equity, that's equitable, the judge will, or entertain one party's desire to stay in the home and buy the other person out and refinance the home if there's a mortgage on the house, right? Or whether or not they're going to pay the other spouse with proceeds they got from, financing the house from the first time, or maybe they do a refinance. So yeah, that's essentially, just a surface level overview of what happens when there's a disagreement over selling the house versus keeping the house. Guys, I really appreciate you listening to this podcast. If you have any questions, please let me know. Feel free to email me, scott@kjlawfla.com. Again, scott@kjlawfla.com. Also, if you're listening to this, please give it a 5-star review if you're enjoying it. And also, if you want to work with us, give me a call. My number is 954-990-9307. Again, 954-990-9307. You can give me a call, or you can even drop me an email at scott@kjlawfla.com. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to the Florida Divorce Podcast. To learn the 10 secrets behind every successful divorce, visit floridadivorcepodcast.com. If you'd like Scott's help in your divorce case, go to kjlawfla.com.